questions when you guys are ready.
The emotions like Kendall to see Illinois get called for your final time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, especially for it being like the last year for all of us seniors. I think it's pretty special, especially to being able to go somewhere we haven't been yet and play, a team from a different conference. So I think we were all really anticipating it, really excited. It's been kind of building up all week with no one to scout and just practicing against each other. So we're all really excited and really blessed.
How much attention did you pay to it could be them, or did you try to stay away from it?
So, I tried to stay away from it, but they kept throwing us against Richmond, and I have, Sam Dewey from last year's team plays on there, so we've been talking all week like, we're going to get to play each other. So we've been paying attention to it from that aspect as friends, but I've really tried to stay away from it just because, you can get so caught up in like the cycles of that you're going here, you're going there, and it just stresses you out. So.
How would you maybe compare the motions 2 years ago versus now of what maybe the difference is there?
I think that first year we were just excited to be in the tournament. We hadn't been there in 20 years. So I think that year we were all just excited to make it, and that was the goal. But I think this year it was more of like we deserve to be in it, and now we want to be, we can focus more on the seeding, who we're playing, where we are. So I think it's more of a like, we finally deserve to be here, and we're in a good spot. So just pretty excited.
What's the value of being in it 2 years ago and then last year's run through the WBIT?
I think it gives us a lot of experience. I think we're a pretty old team, and I think that gives us a lot of experience in those games, especially even some of our younger guys, Corey, Gretchen, some of them have that tournament experience. Even though it was in the BIT, you're still playing for a championship game against national level teams. And I think it's really good too because it'll give a lot of our younger guys, a lot of our freshmen that tournament experience before we leave, so that way they can continue to carry that on. And I think it just helps. It limits the nerves, it limits kind of that just anxiety of traveling, playing a new team. If you lose, you're done. So we kind of know what it takes to win 5 games in a row and get to a championship.
Has it been a tough needle to thread this week with trying to stay sharp, physically, but also needing to get fresh legs for this tournament?
I think we've done a pretty good job balancing it. We had 2 pretty hard practices, Monday and Tuesday, and then a lot of it's just really been like rehab, recovery, getting shots up. Like today, we just did, Coast Guard breakdown and then some shooting competitions for fun. So it's been a pretty good balance because we know we need everyone healthy and to recover, but we also need to be able to stay conditioned and stay sharp since we did have basically 2 weeks.
I wanted to ask the value of having 16 days between games. Like, what has that done for you guys?
I think it's done a lot, especially for for our team. I think for some teams it can be bothersome, but I think for us we really needed it because we were able lost the last 4 games of the season, so I think it helped us kind of take some things we needed to work on them, but it also gave us time to actively recover. We only have a couple people playing, so getting that rest is just as vital as being on the court.
What this layover though, just the waiting game, what's that kind of like to deal with? Obviously now dealt with a couple of years in a row. What are those emotions of the whole week?
It's like you're nervous, but it's fun. We kind of knew we were going to get in. And so you're just kind of waiting around all week, so it's just like, what's going to happen. So it's kind of like annoying almost, but it makes the moment even better just because, we just got to see our name on the board to celebrate and all that stuff.
It's a little different than 2 years ago, too, because you guys were maybe not sure and you played in that playing game. So how different is this feeling than maybe a couple of years ago?
I think it's really different. Like I said, that year we were just excited to get in, so we didn't care where we were, playing game or not. But now, I think we're really excited to be not in a playing game. An 8 or 9 seed playing and another 8 or 9 seed. So I think we're just really, really excited to be able to play someone and kind of have that first game be in the tournament.
How does this core of seniors deal with the idea that the next time you lose, we're all done?
We're not. I don't think we're thinking about that. We're trying not to think about it as much. We want to know every game, so we're just going, one game to the next, and we got to focus on that matchup, and then, whatever happens at the end, that's when you kind of focus on those emotions. But leading up to those games, that's our focus. We're focused on leading this team to the next game possible, and doing everything we can to get there.
Not the headline of the day, obviously, but the matching Coach Green shirts. What was the behind the scenes there?
So we got to do a really cool thing with Campus Inc. where they do it with the guys team, but they invited us in and we got to make a bunch of shirts with our names, our teammates, all that really cool stuff. You see Ty Rogers wearing a lot of those shirts, basically those for the girls. And they had a Coach Green one, and we were all like, we have to have matching ones. So they sent us a box of matching ones, and we all decided to wear them today.
I know last year you guys talked about this, the WBIT being a catapult into this. Looking back, how did it catapult you guys into this season and being ready for this tournament?
Yeah, I think last season it just wasn't what we expected. I think we had higher expectations than what we were able to produce, and so going into that tournament, that's not where we wanted to be at all. And so we kind of had the mindset of all right, if we're going to be here, we're going to win it and show that we should have been somewhere else. And I think we did a great job of that. You know, we played, that's the most together we were that whole year, and it was, you know, 5-6 games in a row to a championship. So I think it just kind of gives us that experience and that mindset that we know we have to have going into this tournament, that it's just, you know, it's another tournament, it's another game. We focus on one game at a time. So it gives us quite a bit of experience with that.
How did you maybe build that togetherness organically versus trying to, I guess, recreate what it was? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we've been playing together so long that we just kind of like have that. But it definitely does, you know, take a little bit of us focusing on, you know, it is higher stakes. I mean, we're all old enough to understand that it's higher stakes. It's a tournament. If you lose, you're done. So I think, you know, we've kind of been talking about it a little bit all week, trying to get the younger guys to understand like we have to be as sharp as we've been all year in practices, you know, in film, and everything. And so it's really important for us to kind of reiterate that to them. But yeah, it's definitely a little different.
Katie, is there a personal level of satisfaction for you because 2 years ago you weren't healthy for this?
Yeah.
You are now?
Yeah, knock on wood, please. Yeah, I mean, it's great going into it healthy. I'm really excited to actually, you know, I played that 1 year at Michigan State, but to really be able to be here with this team is pretty special, and knowing I'll be able to play in it is also pretty special. But it'll just be fun, you know, getting to work at everything all week. So yeah.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, guys. We got Genesis Bryant here. Go ahead with questions when you're ready.
What would the emotions like to hear or see your name called on the agenda?
You know, I think to me it meant a lot more than the first one, just because of not making it last year and just the disappointment in that, but also winning a championship that year, so the expectations are high for this year. And yeah, I was kind of nervous. I didn't think I was going to be that nervous, and my heart was beating fast, and just to see our name, just see how everyone was just so happy and the support. Like, I'm glad we was able to do this from the fans and just have that last kind of moment at home with them. I think that was really good for me.
And to have earned an 8 seed versus being in the first 4 games, how much does that maybe sort of add to what you've been able to accomplish as a team this year?
Yeah, I think our first year we had to play on Wednesday, so it's like there was a quick turnaround. We were kind of disappointed, but to not be able to play have to play this Saturday because there's a lot of time for preparation and kind of just, I know the coaches get some prep time and really get to go through scout, but I think just knowing that we're in the tournament. I know you're still in at 68, but just knowing you're a part of that 64 that's in it, it's a different feeling.
Sure. You've been through 3 Big Ten tournaments now and 2 March tournaments as well, 5 total. So what does that bring you and the rest of the team that have done that much?
Experience. I mean, just how old we are. I mean, 5th years with seniors when we started 5 and then, you know, vary, but just to see how everything works out in its proper timing. And it's for us being our last year and being in that tournament, and then being able to go to Texas. I mean, I've never been to Austin, Texas, so still being able to travel the country like that and do it while playing basketball, I think it's really special, and just excited for this opportunity.
Yeah, 16 days between games. For you guys in particular, how important was not having games?
Yeah, I think everybody is different. I think for our team, rest is so good for us just because we feel energized, we feel ready, we feel just like jumping out the gym tight. So I just think that rest was really good for us, and we still was working and practicing things of that nature, but just not being able to have the games, I think that's been really, really good for us, and I'm just excited to see how that translates on Saturday.
Beyond rest, like working on yourself and some of those clothing stretches, how important is that to not have to prep for the next team immediately?
Yeah, I mean, we took full advantage. We was doing the basics, like 3-line closeouts, like just the basic type of drills, and kind of just fine-tune things. That's stuff you don't really get to do in season, but just really doing the basics of just simple things. I think when we do simple things better, we're a better team.
Kendall talked about the first time you guys went, it was like, we're really happy to be here, and now, like, how is it different this time around in terms of the mindset?
Yeah, like you said, first time, it was like kids in a candy shop. We were just happy to be there, just to experience that scene. But I think now we have some maturity under our belt, and first thing, it's our last year, so we don't have a next year in college basketball. So I think just bringing that desire and that passion, also just the intensity of knowing, like, we've been here before. We have beat great teams in the Big Ten, so we are capable of beating anybody when we play our best game, and just having that confidence and swag about us.
How do you bottle up that togetherness or that emotion from last year's run? I mean, still a tournament run here. How do you translate that maybe to this year?
Yeah, just knowing that we could go win 5 games in March and carry it over to April, that we've done that last year. I know it's a different tournament, but that's still hard to do in any kind of tournament. So just knowing that we've been there, we've done that, we have a championship, we know what it's like to play in a championship game. I mean, all those things are things that a lot of people don't experience in college, playing a championship game. So to have that under our belt, I think that's very good for us going forward.
Obviously, rest was important, but just the waiting game of the 10, almost 2 weeks between. What's that kind of like for you, and were you kind of keeping track of maybe where you go or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we was watching the brackets, trying to change over time during the playoffs and things like that. But I really just think we just focus on ourselves. And then as seniors, really embrace every day in practice, because our practice days are limited. Like we only had this week of guaranteed basketball left. Then it's like you're surviving and advancing. So I just think really just being present, being in the moment, and just enjoying this time here, because we don't, especially for us seniors, we realize that our time is ticking.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Coach Green here. Go ahead when you guys are ready.
Shauna, for you, the emotions, knowing how up and down and tiring this year has been, to finally hear that and see it officially.
Yeah, I mean, I say this, and I really mean it. I mean, this day is just such a blessing, and it's the best day, I think, of the year. To hear your name called never gets old. I don't care how many times you hear it. So proud of this group. Obviously, our goal coming into this season was an NCAA tournament. And there were some times this season that maybe, that didn't look possible. And for the resiliency and the togetherness and how we continue to fight, for us to sit and hear our name and know we're going to be in it, even leading into it. It wasn't like, we're on the bubble. Again, it just is such something that you just don't get sick of hearing.
From that perspective, does maybe this one hit a different feeling to this second time around versus the first time?
Every time I think it hits different, and every year that I've been there as an assistant coach, as a head coach, they all have their own story and their own feeling. And this one's special, obviously. They're all special. But I wanted it so badly for this group, and I wanted them to win so badly throughout the year. So, for us to be, an 8 seed and to be in, again, without playing in a playing game or, the first 4, it's special for this group. It's special for this program. This is where when we came here 3 years ago, we set NCAA tournaments, and obviously to make that in the first year was special in its own right, because it was just such a surreal moment. Like, how are we sitting here right now in the NCAA tournament with where we came from? So I think that was but even now it's a really proud moment for our program, for our players, and hopefully we just continue to build from here.
I know you guys wanted the WBIT to catapult into this, but what was the key in actually making that work and not letting it just be something that you said in Indianapolis and didn't carry over?
Our seniors, the leadership we had in this group. I think when you have strong upperclassmen and then, really good young guys that'll follow them and are capable of it, you can do some special things. Experience is so big in college basketball. So this group knew, they understood, what it was like the first year. Then they understood last year the disappointment in not making the NCAA tournament, but then the excitement of winning and going on a run and be able to cut down nets. So it was number one goal, and any time we talk about what we wanted out of this season was an NCAA tournament. And they got it.
Has navigating this gap between the Big Ten tournament and the first game coming up, is it more art or science when it comes to practice planning and how to handle this?
It's interesting, because I think that is different each year too. Last year my whole mindset was to get kind of our hunger and fight and tenacity back after the end of this year and losing to Maryland, and we knew we were in the WBIT, so it was kind of like you knew you weren't going to be in the NCAA tournament, so trying to change our mindset. We competed like crazy last year. This year, obviously, our numbers are totally different, and we weren't able to. Then the spring break, we barely had some practice players. I had to get creative there for a while in some of our practices, and a couple people are still out, and we rested them, and they didn't even practice. So we were down, a lot of players this week. We had a couple kids sick. So it wasn't like your normal week of, let's get better, where I do think we got better, but we also had to get rest. So that was my fine line of keeping them sharp, getting better at the fundamentals, keeping us hungry, but also getting this team a ton of rest.
Do you expect to have good health from everyone that was playing in the tournament?
I don't even know right now, to tell you the truth. It's day by day with some of these guys. Like I said, we haven't been full strength in practice since the Big Ten tournament.
That's been the longest stretch between games that you guys have had, literally all season. With this group in particular, beyond the injuries or illnesses right now, why was that important, and why can they handle 2 weeks without a game?
Yeah, we scrimmaged some, so we kept their cardio up. We scrimmaged as much as we could with what we had, and then our practice guys. And again, and then we went back to, I think I heard Jen say, we went back to just some fundamentals and some basics defensively, some things that, just basic closeouts, getting back to, again, our number one core value is keeping people in front of you, and that starts with the closeout. And we didn't do that at an elite level consistently for those last 2 games. So, defense is the name of the game, especially with our opponent in Creighton. I've played them before, obviously, and they like to score. They spread you, and I haven't watched any film on this yet. I just know them, and they spread you, and all 5 people can shoot 3. So if you're going to beat Creighton, you have to defend. So I'm really glad that some of the things that we worked on and emphasized this last week in practice will definitely lead into our game plan against a team like Creighton.
Speaking of that, just on the scouting report too, do you kind of look at teams you might play when it's in this couple of weeks, and what does that kind of look like as you go into this?
Kind of, but not in a full scout. But they had us playing Richmond. They had us. I saw a couple things on Richmond, at Creighton. You kind of look at the 8-9s. Richmond obviously had a ton of familiarity with being in the A-10, and Creighton plays like Richmond. So, and again, Creighton's a really good team. They're really well coached, and I know they're an old team too. It's because I sat with Coach this summer recruiting, and we were talking about how we both had some experienced teams. So, we're going to have our hands full with them. So we'll get in right now. My staff's already back at Ubben, and I'll head over there, and we'll start getting after it with scouting.
We're good. Can I ask one more thing? I saw you retweet if your school got 2 teams in the tournament. What does that say about just this program and the orange and blue?
Yeah, I think that's what you want, right? Because I just saw that, and then Brad just texted me and congratulated me. And this is what our building, when we're in Ubben, success breeds success, and they want to win and compete at a high level. We want to. We're all kind of going in that same direction. So it's big time. We want both of our programs going. Now football's going. We want all of those sports to compete at an elite level, and I think Illinois is in a really good spot right now.
Sorry, I have one more. Just about Corey Allen. Did see that she might have a knee break. Can you elaborate on what that looks like for her?
Yeah, not right now. It's, again, I don't know what that's going to look like for a lot of our guys or for her.
Okay.
Shauna, I asked this to Brad an hour ago, but them moving the calendar back to portal recruiting, does that at least keep you off the phone while you're trying to concentrate on NCAA tournament? Is that the idea? Do you think that's going to happen?
Yes and no, because there's already kids in the portal,
right.
So it kind of does, but I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if it's good or bad yet.
Okay.
I think we'll see kind of through this year, how does it work out. So yeah, ask me in about a month, and I'll probably have a better answer. But it is kind of nice. You're not crazy on the phone right now, but you're still, there are some kids out there. We've talked to a couple kids that are already in the portal because of coaching changes and all of that.
Get any royalties off the T-shirts your players are wearing today?
Oh, I laugh. I'm like, I have to look at my ugly picture, a lot of them, so I gave them a hard time about that. But no, they're funny. They had a big reveal. They're like, Coach, I'm like, well, first of all, I'm like, why are you guys all wearing, we always match. And I'm like, is this what you guys are wearing? And I never usually ask that. But then KB's like, yeah, we're all, and didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden they're like, Coach, we have something for you. And they all took them off. So, no, it's funny. I love this group.